Hello YouTube, this is Omnigens here with another Wargame Airland Battle National Deck Analysis, and this time we're covering the new nation of Canada, new nation added to NATO on the 4v4 map. Something, I can't remember what its name is. But yeah, so basically in this I'm going to go for the usual tactic. I think I did this in another video, where I'm supplying a CV for Delta, so someone else will supply the defensive units for Delta. I'll just supply the CV to capture it because it's a 12-point zone, obviously very valuable, and then I myself will be concentrating on Foxtrot. Elsewhere my allies will probably be going to Charlie, Echo and Alpha. And yeah, so Canada. So it's an interesting nation. Basically Canada is a sort of interesting version of the US, where they don't really have any weaknesses in their deck, but they don't really have any strengths there either. Like, they have one or two strengths, but they don't have anything remarkable most of the time. So for example, their logistics, they have a good combination of logistics. They have a keep, command, IFV, and then a limited supply but well armored command tank, which is always very handy. I think this is the one I'm sending to Foxtrot because I'm anticipating some heavy fighting. Terms of recon, they've got the good collection of recon. They've got a heavy armored recon, a slightly keeper recon infantry that come in helicopters, and a recon helicopter itself. Now as you can see up here, I was trying to put some infantry to lay some ambushes around Kilo. Unfortunately they ran into Mi-24Ds, and yeah, Mi-24s just can tear these defensive helicopters apart. It's pretty much, there's no real competition. But I do spot the Kilo command vehicle. I think one of the recon infantry escaped their helicopter before being killed by rocket fire. So I know where it is, but overall this little ambush trick didn't go to plan. So I'm planning to combat it with Canada's only anti-aircraft defense system, which is the ADATS. Now, it's an interesting system just because one, it's a very good system, but then it's the only actual anti-aircraft defense Canada can field. So and you only get 4 of them. So if you let these die, you're pretty much screwed in terms of anti-aircraft defense. But the ADATS is a remarkable anti-aircraft system because basically what it is its missiles can shoot down aircraft, and they're a good anti-aircraft weapon. But they can also be used as an ATKM, so think of it as a combined tank destroyer and anti-aircraft missile support. So it can fend for itself against most tanks, but it can also shoot down jets. So it's a pretty remarkable system. I believe it's a prototype unit, so if you want to be using it, you have to play the Canada only deck. Other than that, their support is also pretty good. They have a 8. They can field 8 different mortars for artillery, and they have 2 main artillery guns. So Canada's also got a lot of artillery strength to its name. Also, they've got a quite good selection of planes, I have to say. Although this is sort of made up for the fact that aside from their recon helicopter, they actually don't have any helicopters to field. But then again, that isn't that bad when you think about it, because helicopters are of limited use in the current Wargame series. So I bring in some starfighters and freedom fighters to do some shooting, but there's some Strela infantry and some other I think those are mechanized Strelas behind it, so that didn't go to plan. So basically, as you can see, I'm now pushing up with Leopard C1. So Canada has pretty much, I think it's a pretty similar situation to Denmark, which I'll be covering in the next episode. So Denmark and Canada's tanks are pretty similar. Basically, they've got a good selection of tanks, but none high end, nothing past 50 points. Their most expensive one is the Leopard C1. So they've got a good range of tanks they can field, but what they can field is sort of limited. So I don't know, it's up to you, I guess, if you want to do it. But overall, they are basically, their tanks are good when fighting keep stuff, but when it can't hold the toll to the more powerful Soviet main battle tanks. Now at this point I was a bit worried here, as you can see, because the Mi-24s, I didn't notice, but they were holding Spetsnaz in them, and suddenly I've got recon infantry behind my line. Now obviously this is very deadly against a good enemy, because if you can hide some special forces like Spetsnaz behind your lines, they can pick off some keep units, and they can also spot stuff for artillery. So I was prioritizing getting rid of these guys as soon as possible. But yeah, back to the tanks. So Canada has a good selection of low-range tanks, but they also, unlike Denmark, they have a good selection of tank destroyers. They've got a 70-point high-end tank destroyer and then a 35-point tow heap. So they've got a good range of tank destroyers to take out the high-end stuff, and a good selection of low-end tanks to do the general dirty fighting. Yeah. So overall, Canada is it's a nation that doesn't really have any specific weaknesses. Like every deck slot has some useful units in it, but they do have some weaknesses, and they don't really have that many amazing systems to use. The AT-AT is about the only true, brilliant unit Canada fields, and even then, it's limited because one problem it has is that as a combined system, and with only 4 you can field, you have to keep it well supplied, because if it's firing missiles at planes and tanks, it can run out very fast. And Canada's logistics are limited at best. They have 10-point keeps, which for a keep is pretty good, but it's you're actually I think they actually might have some helicopters to call on as well. Now that I think about it, can't remember though. But yeah, I was just using keeps in this bit. I can't remember if they had helicopters or not, but I don't remember. That's not. But yeah. So overall, Canada, balanced nation, and I'd recommend using them, but as a good, because they've got a range of units to cover every situation, so they're good all rounder. So as you can see, I guess so now I've finished with talking about Canada, I'm going to move on to the actual game. So at this point, NATO's winning by about 600 points. As you can see, I'm advancing. See some more Spetsnaz here. This is going to be annoying because I was building up another flanking force, but it didn't work out. So at this point, I'm building up my artillery. So I'm going to try and push Kilo and the other command point, but these Spetsnaz have delayed the attack. But yeah, so again, this is one of my typical strategies, which is secure a point, build up enough forces, and then launch an attack on the next point. I was presuming that there's a lot of fighting going on the left of the map, so I thought that Pact must be concentrating on that side, which means that I can just build my forces and attack. That was the plan anyway. So as you can see, I'm getting some Centurion Mark IIs, so these are the keeper tanks that Canada fields. Basically, there's the Leopard, the Centurion, and then a keep end one. So as you can see, I'm rushing everything in on the Spetsnaz. Normally you wouldn't try and use vehicle transports against infantry because they can use their rockets and quickly kill them. But Spetsnaz are the exception because they don't have an anti-tank rocket, which means they do very badly against units such as the Grizzly. So, and obviously because they're so effective against infantry, it's a good choice. Elsewhere, lots of fighting going on across the map. That's the thing with Wargame. I could probably record 4 separate episodes looking at 4 separate flanks of the map, but without replay I can't actually see what these guys are doing, because this is literally my live feed, so this is what I was looking at in the match. So let's see, I'm building up some artillery. It's usually a good combination for high and low end artillery, because in this, artillery is so fast, counter battery fire can be a problem. So if you have 2 different sources of artillery, you split their fire, and if they're like stunning one of your artillery units, you can always just use the other one to pepper them with. Also, now you see the Grizzly, that was the one that I bought to take out of the Spetsnaz. Now I can advance it up because I haven't really seen any defences, so I'm just going to probe with that. Also, I see 2 allies driving a random Hemet truck, so I guess tell them to watch out because I have no idea. I think that was just a reinforcement issue because Foxtrot's a reinforcement sector. Maybe they bought something in a bit too close to it and they were just driving the wrong way. But yeah, elsewhere, so the Grizzly's going in, the Hemet's been turned around, so hopefully my flare warned them, or maybe they get spotted themselves. See, I'm still building up my tank force because I want to, you always want to be pushing in this. I guess don't want to sit back, because if I'm sitting back and they're concentrating their forces to the other side of the map, that's not good.